This morning we will discuss verse 274, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Scheduled Incarnation with Specific Functions, Text 4. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Narom Cheva Narotanam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jamudiyayat Nastvayasya Bhadrasya Nityam Bhagavatasevya Bhagavati Uttamasloke Bhakti Bhakti Naistike Atre Rapatyam Abhikankshataha Hotusta Tato Mayaham Iti Yat Bhagavan Sadatta Yat Pada Pankajapara Pavitra Deha Yogartim Mapuh Ubayim Yaduha Yayatya. Word for word translation. Atre of the sage Atre, Apatyam issue, Abhikankshataha, having prayed for, set it, Tushta, being satisfied, Datta, given over, Maya, by me, Aham, myself, Iti, thus, Yat, because, Bhagavan, the personality of God, that Saha, he, Dattaha, Dattatreya, Yatpada, one whose feet, Pankaja, lotus, Paraga, dust, Pavitra, purified, Deha, body, Yoga, mystic, Redim, opulence, Apo, God, Ubayim, for both the worlds, Yadu, the father of the Yadu dynasty, Ahaya, Adya, and others like King Haya. Translation and purport by A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. The great sage Atre prayed for offspring, and the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atre's son, Dattatreya, Datta, the son of Atre. And by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many Yadus, Hayas, etc. became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Purport. The transcendental relations between the personality of Godhead and the living entities are eternally established in 5 different affectionate humors, which are known as Santa, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya, and Madhurya. The sage Atre was related with the Lord in the affectionate Vatsalya humor, and therefore, as a result of his devotional perfection, he was inclined to have the personality of Godhead as his son. The Lord accepted his prayer, and he gave himself as the son of Atre. Such a relation of sonhood between the Lord and his pure devotee can be cited in many instances. And because the Lord is unlimited, he has unlimited number of father devotees. Factually, the Lord is the father of all living entities, but out of transcendental affection and love between the Lord and his devotees, the Lord takes more pleasure in becoming the son of a devotee than in becoming one's father. The Father actually serves the Son, whereas the Son only demands all sorts of services from the Father. Therefore, a pure devotee who is always inclined to serve the Lord wants him as the Son and not as the Father. The Lord also accepts such service from the devotee, and thus the devotee becomes more than the Lord. The impersonalist desires to become one with the Supreme, but the devotee becomes more than the Lord, surpassing the desire of the greatest monist. Parents and other relatives of the Lord achieve all mystic opulences automatically because of their intimate relationship with the Lord. Such opulences include all details of material enjoyment, salvation, and mystic powers. Therefore, the devotee of the Lord does not seek them separately, wasting his valuable time in life. The valuable time of one's life must therefore be fully engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Then other desirable achievements are automatically gained. But even after obtaining such achievements, one should be on guard against the pitfall of offenses at the feet of the devotees. The vivid example is Hai Haya, who achieved all such perfection in devotional service, but because of his offense at the feet of a devotee was killed by Lord Parasuram. The Lord became the son of the great sage Atri, became known as Dattatreya. Read the verse once again. Atre apatyam abhikankshataha utusta tato mayaham iti yad bhagavan sadatta. Yat pada pankashaparaha pavitra deha yogartim apo ubayum yatu ayayatya. The great sage praised for offspring of the Lord, being satisfied with him, promised to incarnate as Atri's son. Dattatreya, Datta, the son of Atri, because by the grace of the lotus feet of the Lord, many yadus, hayas, and became so purified that they obtained both material and spiritual blessings. Om Ajnanatimandasya Chinanjana Shaka Shaksharan Militam Yena Tasmai Shigurave Namah Shitchitanyamanopistam Staptam Yena Bhutale Svayam Upakadamyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vandeham Shiyo Shiyuda Padakamalam Shikum Vaishnavam Shah Shirupam Jagajatam Saganaragnatam Fitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savrutam Parjana Saitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Saganalita Shri Vishakam Vitam Sa Hey Krishna Karuna Sinudina Bonutyatvate Gopesha Gopka Kantarada Kanta Namaste Tapta Kansana Gaurangi Radhi Vrindavaneshri Pushamana Sutadevi Panamama Harivaya Pancha Kalpta Bishan Kepas Nvibashan Patnam Bhavan Vyo Vaishnavyo Namanama Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shiva Sadika Ramaktavinam Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram, Ram, Hare Hare. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vistaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Tinamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Paskachai Desatdharani Srila Prabhupada Ki. So this verse mentions two uh, important personalities The first one is Atri Muni, the sage Atri. And the second is Haya, and that was also a great devotee of the Lord. Who was Atra Muni, or the sage Atri? He was a great sage. He was also a Prajapati, that progenitors of mankind. Srila Prabhupada describes Atri Muni as a great Brahman sage. He was one of the Manasa Putras of Brahma, mind-born sons of Brahma. He is also one of the 7 sages. So there are 74 manus in a day of Brahma, and every manu there are new sages. There is a new Indra and so on. Whole set of demigod changes. That Atri Muni was one of these sages. That in the beginning of creation, then Brahma created his 21 Prajapatis responsible for populating the universe, and Atri Muni was one of them. His wife was Anasuya. She was tested by the demigods for chastity. That Anasuya was one of the daughters of Kardama Muni and Devahuti, one of these 9 daughters, which were, So Anasuya also belonged to a very exalted family of sages. That also Atri had 2 Satriya sons who became kings. One was King Artama. So Brahma instructed Atri and Anasuya to engage in the creation of progeny. So after Atri had married Anasuya, they went to a beautiful place called Riksha, a mountain valley. The Bhagavatam gives a beautiful description of the surroundings. You have the river near Vindhya flowing there, surrounded by Ashoka trees and other flowering plants, waterfalls, pleasant sound. So this is, that Anasuya was very special. She gave birth to Dattatreya, but she was also following her husband, Atri, in his spiritual endeavor. So Atri, he did extraordinarily austerities, severe tapasya. He practiced yogic breathing and controlling his senses. He stood on one leg for 100 years, taking nothing but air as his sustenance. His meditation was very focused. He just desired the sun exactly like the Supreme Lord. That was his desire. He was a pure devotee, and he wanted to serve the Lord as a father, as to have the Lord as his son. So the father serves the son. He was describing that kind of service. He wanted service. So that's the devotee, he wants service. That he did not ask it for himself, but he wanted to serve the Lord in that particular way. He desired the Son exactly like the Supreme Lord. And that so the desire to have the Son, a son, the Lord as a son, and be the father of the Lord, that concept is Vatsalya Ras, the parental relationship with the Supreme Lord. That so, especially in this verse, it's mentioned in the purport. Atri Muni had a relationship with the Lord in Vatsalya, parental affection. So, therefore, to get that devotional perfection, he decided to have the Supreme Personality of Godhead as his son. And through his meditation, the Lord accepted his desire. Srila Prabhupada emphasizes that although God is not really the father of everyone, the Lord accepts the position of being the son of his devotee. Why? Because the parents not only serves the child. Thus, when Krishna becomes the son of his devotee, the devotee receives a great opportunity to render service, intimate service to him. And that places Atra in an elevated position. But Ati was doing a severe austerities, and a blazing fire emanated from his head, produced by the power of his yogic breathing. That phenomenon was noted by Lord Brahma, Lord Vishnu, and Shiva. It is also said he was meditating on these three deities because he was not sure who was supreme. And they all three came to his ashram, that accompanied with Apsaras, Gandharvas, Sitas, Vidyadharas, Nagas. Yeah. So Atri's ashram had become famous because of the austerities of Atri Muni. But then these three personalities came, Brahma, Shiva, and Vishnu. So he recognized them. Brahma was riding on his Hamsa, a swan, carrying Kushagas. Shiva was riding on a bull, carrying the Damaru. And Vishnu was riding on Garuda, carrying Sudarshan Chakra. So he was meditating on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but his prayer was essentially I desire a son like him. But he saw that the three deities were coming. And Lord Brahma said, yeah, you meditate on the absolute truth, but we are all manifestations associated with that supreme absolute truth. Therefore, we all came in response of your meditation. And they all gave a son to Atri and Anasura. First, Soma, the moon god, was born. Chandra, the moon god. It was a partial representation of Lord Brahma. And then Dattatreya, a partial representation of Lord Vishnu. And the third son was Durvasa Muni, a partial representation of Lord Shiva. This is explained in the fourth canto of the Bhagavatam. But Dattatreya is not simply an ordinary son who happened to become a great sage. He presented an incarnation of Lord Vishnu. Why is Dattatreya so important? He said that Dattatreya he taught the science of the spirit soul and instructed great personalities like Alarka Pralat, Yadu, Haya, that we find also in the 11th canto the liberated Avaduta who instructs King Yadu and shared with King Yadu how he became self-realized by accepting 26 spiritual masters: the sun, the moon, water, ether. He gives so many spiritual masters he learned from: the sun, the moon. So that is this great sage there, liberated sage, this Avaduta is Dattatreya. It's the same. So he was instructing here great devotees and kings in transcendental knowledge. He instructed Yadu that that's so. Yes, there are more things to say about. Many references in the Bhagavatam to Dattatreya. Of course, we have this verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, in the 3rd chapter, where also all the incarnations are described. Dattatreya is explained or presented as the 6th incarnation. In the 4th canto, 1st chapter, it explains how Atri and Asuya, how they got his 3 sons. So yes, there is quite a lot of information in Srila Prabhupada's books, but in summary, Atra Muni was a Manasaputra of Brahma, an exalted rishi. He was married to the supreme chaste Anasuya. He performed extraordinary austerities to get the supreme Lord as his son. And also Anasuya did and offered prayers and devotion. And then the Lord appeared as Dattatreya. Soma and Durvas, but yeah. So the Hayas, that's the second personality mentioned in this verse, is a descendant of Yadu. Yadu, his son was Sasrajit, his son was Satajit, and then Ahaya. Ahaya made, I understood he made an offense against Jamadagni, the sage Jamadagni, was a pure devotee. And he ordered to steal his Kamadena, his heavenly goal. So that is an offense. And Parasuram, he became very angry and he killed Ahaya. So yeah, if he offended the devotee, the result was he was killed by Lord Parasuram. And Prabhupada concludes that even someone who has attained great spiritual and mystic power can fall because of an offense to a devotee. So yes. So these are the 2 personalities described in this verse, but let's go deeper now. So the Lord wants to we have the first personality, Atri. Atri wanted to serve the Lord. Service was his objective. So I was just reading last days a chapter in the Krishna book, chapter 83. Draupadi meets the queens of Krishna at Kurukshetra. And there, every queen of Krishna from Dwarka explains the story how she became the queen of Krishna. But yeah, interesting. All these queens that they tell their story, but then at the end they reveal their desire. So the chief queen Rukmini says, "My dear Draupadi, it is my eternal desire that life after life I be engaged in the service of Lord Krishna, who is a reservoir of all pleasure and beauty. It is my only desire and ambition in life." So Rukmini said, I only want to be life after life engaged in the service of Krishna. Only ambition. That Satyabhama says, after telling her story, he accepted me as his maidservant and wife. So she sees herself as maidservant. Service is their only objective. Jambavati says that to satisfy the Lord, he presented me to him to become his wife. In this way, I was married to the Lord, and thus my desire to be a servitor of Krishna life after life was fulfilled. To be a servitor life after life. Kalindi, after telling her story, she says, and since then I've been engaged in the house of Lord Krishna as a sweeper, and the Lord is treating me as his wife. So Krishna is treating Kalindi as his wife, but Kalindi sees herself as a sweeper. Thus Mitravinna says, after telling her story, my desire to become the maidservant of Krishna life after life was fulfilled. That's the same story. The story of Satya. But Lord Krishna defeated all of them, and thus I have the privilege of serving his lotus feet as a maidservant. Then Bhadra tells her story and then says, wherever I may take my birth, I may not forget my relationship with his lotus feet. So I've been engaged with many maidservants in the palace. So we see all these queens, the same story. I'm just a servant. So in our movement, we may have positions, temple president, GBC, whatever, guru, and so on. But one should think oneself a servant. If one does not think oneself a servant, one is fallen. And that happens to Hayam. He was not thinking himself the servant, but the controller. He became a king, mighty king, and he ordered to steal the Jamadagni, the Kamadenu from Jamadagni. And that became his fall down. And his fall down is very serious. Therefore, it's important that we always think ourselves as a servant. That's our position. What kind of servant we can, that will be revealed. We have all a special relationship with the Lord. Matrimony was in parental love, but that will be revealed if we become purified by the grace of the Lord. But basically, if in parental love, it's a rasa, but one is a servant. That is the basis. If we forget that basis, we are deviating from spiritual life. It's a very important point that and that we can learn from this story. Ahaya became puffed up, and because although he was spiritually elevated, he fell down from his spiritual elevated position. So even if one is elevated spiritually, one should be very, very careful. So these two aspects are emphasized in this verse. Seeing yourself as a servant means humility. Humility, tolerance. That's the position of a servant. And not be always on guard, not to offend devotees. It's the mad elephant offense, Lord Chaitanya says. Mad elephant offense. That if one makes that offense, all one's spiritual advancement is covered again. It's lost. Therefore, it's very dangerous. So, any comments or questions, please? Yes, Mother Veneria.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, please accept my most humble obeisance, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you very much for the class. I would like to ask, 8 years ago, my Guru Maharaj recommended to me or allowed me to worship a Gopal deity. This was my first experience. I was not even initiated and I have no children in this life. Is this maybe if when we worship Gopal, this is also especially to awaken this service mood, because I find myself quite selfish and I see the difference between being a mother and being not a mother. Is this maybe that Gopal shall awaken this, especially this service mood?
Well, Gopal is especially worshipped by the Gujaratis. They all worship Gopal. Yeah. And there's all also the tradition of Vallabhacharya. They have a special tradition in which they see the deity as the Lord of the house, and everything is going around the deity. So it stimulates our service attitude, but of course it's also full of rasa, the parental rasa. We have to take care of Krishna. That like Mother Yasoda thinks Krishna, or if I don't feed him, he will die. That is the parental mood. And yes, the Gopal deity has a laddu in his left hand. It's very sweet to worship Gopal in that mood. But it's especially part of the Gujarati tradition. We are not so much worshipping Gopal, but yes, we can worship Krishna. If the spiritual masters say worship Gopal, it's quite a a big opportunity, I would say, because it's non different from Krishna. That because we know Gopal is very Gopal is the same Damodar, the Damodar Lila. Kartik is coming soon, and we will experience that all this rasa. So yes, it's strongly related to the parental mood. Whether you have children or in this life or not, it doesn't matter. We can take care of Krishna in this mood. That Srila Prabhupada recommended us especially to worship Gaunitai. But if you get Gopal from the spiritual master, you must take care of the deity. But along with the mercy of Gaunitai, such worship can be very, very successful. Yes, that's what I could say on it, Mother.
Yeah, thank you much. Also, Gaunitai came later. Also, Gopal is the first one, and then came Jagannath, and small Lord Nrsimhadev and Gaunitai came later. Also, yeah, also there. Yeah, thank you very much. Gujaratis, these are, also I'm not so well know, also have not so much knowledge. These are from a special region, people. Gujaratis, this is a region in India.
Gujarat is a province that it contains also Dwarka, is in Gujarat, I think, and Rajkot. I've never been there. That I've been in Gujarat, in Ahmedabad. That's for some reason I had to go there, sent by my Guru Maharaj. But I lived for 11 years among the Gujaratis in Leicester. And they are all worshipping Gopal. And they are all worshipping Tulsi in every home. That it's just part of their tradition. They are born worshippers of Krishna in the form of Gopal. Hare Krishna. Something else?
Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Go ahead.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. So I remember reading somewhere that in Kali Yuga, mental offenses, mental sins are not, the Lord is merciful and does not hold mental offenses against people in Kali Yuga. I know we should always try to keep from offending others, even in the mind, but does this also apply to offending devotees in our thoughts?
So there are different things here. So in our thoughts, we can commit these offenses, but it's not counted. You don't get a reaction unless you really do it. But if you have that offensive mentality in your mind, it will definitely block your spiritual advancement. That it will block it. You don't get reactions, but it will block it. So better to avoid it, to purify it, even not thinking of anything negative about devotees. It's not easy. But it's a special concession for Kali Yuga because if the mental offenses would be counted in Kali Yuga, we all go to hell. Does that clarify, Jagannath?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Okay, good. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Maharaj.
Yes.
Thank you so much for a nice class, Maharaj. So, Maharaj, the Dattatreya incarnation in Maharashtra, there is a lot of following. And I just wanted to confirm if it is the same Dattatreya. He has like 3 heads. And most of the sampradayas in Maharashtra, which is, Sai Baba and, related sampradaya, they mention that they call as a Datta sampradaya, the lineage of Datta. And my understanding is this is the same incarnation. So wanted to just...
Probably, yes, but it's not a bona fide sampradaya. There are only 4 bona fide sampradayas, Vaishnava sampradayas. It's not a Vaishnava sampradaya. It's not bona fide from our perspective.
Okay.
So I didn't study them, but that's just by the knowledge I have. There are 4 bona fide Vaishnava sampradayas, the Rudra sampradaya, the Sri sampradaya, and 4 Kumaras, the Kumara sampradaya, and our sampradaya. These are the bona fide Vaishnava sampradayas. The others are not bona fide. So Dattatreya, I don't know all these traditions in India. I studied many of them, but many of them I did not explore. But based on Prabhupada's teachings, I think it's the same incarnation. I think yes, it is. But Sampradaya is not bona fide, and to say more about it, I should be able to study their teachings and see how they are deviating from the Vedic perspective that we get from Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, no, that clarifies. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you. Hare Krishna. I'm looking forward to see in a few weeks. I think next week we can have class because I'll be here. In the weekend I'm in London. And next week, we should be okay next week. The week after is problematic. That's good. Hare Krishna. See you next week. Jai Prabhupada.
He's on his Bhakti Prabha Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Bo.
Hare Krishna.